Welcome to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with my co-hosts, well-known radio sports personality Bruce McGowan and Vern Glenn of CBS affiliate KPIX-TV in San Francisco. And on this show, we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. In addition, we're going to be asking sports trivia questions, where we're giving away vacations to the first three callers with the correct answer. Our phone number is 888-660-4495. Write that number down, 888-660-4495, because you're going to use that number to answer the trivia questions for 3 vacations given away during each commercial break. That's right, we're giving away 9 vacations during this show. Now, the vacations are not sponsored by the radio station, but by Lighthouse Resort and Marina. The vacations are free. Their only request, a $75 cleaning fee to cover housekeeping expenses. Check them out at lighthouse4fun.com. Today's trivia theme is football franchises. We should have fun with that one. And we are going to plan to have a special guest, Rich Theriault, who's going to discuss his device that can switch channels on your TV automatically when a commercial comes on so you don't miss a game. So it'll switch. He'll explain more when he comes on. Other topics we're going to try to cover if we have time: Super Bowl in the snow, possibility. A-Rod not taking the stand. Is he guilty by omission? Trading Prince Fielder to get Ian Kinsler. I think that's a problem. I think personally that's a good idea. Jimmy Graham bends the goalposts. Boy, that reminds me of Daryl Dawkins shattering the backboard of the NBA. And Winston of FSU accused of rape 11 months later. Let's get into that maybe. What about Bryce Harper ready for arbitration already? I don't know about that one. Good player, but probably a little too early for arbitration in my opinion. Women fighting in the MMA, new division for 115 pounds, straw weight they call it. And maybe let's talk a little bit about bowling. They're using something called a blue dye on the lanes. If you have any questions, email us, Edward at SportsEcon101. We'll try to answer on the air. This segment of Sports Econ 101 is sponsored by Pacific Private Money. Check them out at PacificPrivateMoney.com. Don't touch that dial. Sports Econ 101 will be right back.
Then it brings you to the alternate channel, and then back again.
Okay.
Well, here's the other question: does it have to be 2 football games? Can it be a football game and like a basketball game? Can it? Is it restricted like that?
No, actually, it's any broadcast at all. So any broadcast channel at all. So we're sports fans, so we like to see sports things. But every once in a while, believe it or not, I'll switch to 60s or 70s music, digital music channel, and it will go there. And I find that's a nice break, as opposed to not having to listen to the commercials, and then it comes right back. My wife listens to the Food Network.
Just make sure it doesn't go to QVC or one of those shopping channels.
Yeah, well, anything's possible, guys. And then, like I said, a lot of people, what they do is they use the opportunity to channel surf, and that way they can channel surf, to their heart's delight, and never be worried about not being able to get back, when that key play, is about to happen.
So wait, you could channel rather than the technology just automatically changing to a different, let's say, football game. You can channel surf and then it'll automatically bring you back when you're
correct.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
that is pretty cool. Hey, here's what's the limit on the live sporting event that you can put in the bank?
I'm not sure I understand. What do you mean?
Well, it's just can you prioritize up to 5 games, 6 games? Let's say you're watching your primary game, goes to a break, automatically goes to another game, but that game's in a break. Will it then go to like a third option that might be going, and then go back to the first option? You know what I mean?
No, that's a great idea. As a matter of fact, that's one of the going beyond the one stacking level is a feature that we're adding. And most people want us to go a couple levels. Right now, we just go to the one level, and then you go to another channel, or you can channel surf. But it doesn't automatically scan through the queue, if you will, at this point. So that's something that we're going to be adding, actually.
Okay. But like you said, you can always do your channel surfing yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure the advertisers don't appreciate this. In fact, wasn't there some kind of a lawsuit either against DVR or one of these kind of technological situations, like Fox? Wasn't there some kind of lawsuit or something?
Yeah, actually, this area has been litigated for quite a while, and it started with VCRs, and then went to DVRs, and it's kind of migrated. And the recent thing is Dish is Ad Hopper is being litigated. Ad Hopper basically pre-records prime time on the 5 major channels for the week, and then a day later you can view commercial free. It is still delayed by a day.
Yeah, but it's funny. I would think you'd be on the safest ground because yours is live TV. All you're doing is just basically being the automatic channel changer.
No, that's an excellent point, Edward, because basically all the litigation has been around, are you copyright infringing or are you retransmitting without a license? We don't store the information. We don't change anything. Essentially, for us to have a legal weakness, if you will, you would have to make channel switching illegal.
Yeah, like someone's going to police me to say, I'm sorry, Edward, you're going to have to watch those commercials. Of course, during the Super Bowl, most people like to kind of watch the commercials, but during regular games.
Hey, there are really good commercials, and somebody said to me sometime earlier, you really against commercials and commerce? Well, no, I'm not really against commercials and commerce. The reality is that it's just gone way too far.
Well, also, one of the big problems is that the volume usually goes up about 20 decibels, and that's to me one of the most annoying things about commercials.
Yeah, no, you're right, because the segment, the people that use and really are excited about our product, they basically fall into one or two categories. Either they're really offended by the content of the commercial ad,
yeah,
or they're highly annoyed by it. And one thing that happened, which was a little bit of a surprise, is we kind of knew when we developed the product that people were annoyed and offended by the ads, and so the lack of an ad would be a good thing. We understood that. We understood people would like that. What we didn't count on, and I didn't count on personally, is you don't realize how much energy you spend mitigating avoiding the ad. So because you're trying to avoid it, you're kind of dealing with it. So it's really that overhead that you don't even have to do anymore that makes the whole viewing experience in the game just that much better.
Huh. And how much?
Well, I can see where this is. This would be really popular. Let's say 364 of the 365 days. The one day would be the Super Bowl,
yeah,
where it's all about the commercial.
Yeah.
Right.
And halftime show. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. So I think you're right. I mean, it is very popular, and actually the adoption's been pretty quick. I mean, new products are always slow to adopt, but things have been going quite well. People that use the product, really use it and experience it, are really very satisfied.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what, Rich, stay with us because we're going to cut to a commercial break. When we come back, we're going to interview you a little bit more because I want you to tell the audience how much this costs, because I'm sure that's what people are wondering. It sounds like a great idea, but how much does it cost? So we'll get into that in just a minute. Here's our first commercial break. Again, the theme is football franchises. All right, the first trivia question. The Boston Braves entered the NFL in 1932. What were they called in 2006? The first 3 callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. This one's a tough one. Their website is lighthouse4fun.com. Call 888-660-4495 to answer this question. The Boston Braves, now we're talking football, entered the NFL in 1932. What was that team called in 2006? So obviously they had some kind of maturations. Call 888-660-4495. Make sure to include your name, email address, speak slowly, spell out your email 1 letter at a time. Don't touch that dial because Sports Econ 101 will be right back with Rich Theriault talking about My Choice TV, and he'll let us know how much it costs to avoid those commercials. We'll be right back. Okay, good. Good segment. All right, let me just save this file and we'll start on the next one, okay?
It's great, thanks.
Sure,
Right.
Sure thing. Okay. And Bruce should be coming in pretty soon. So stay with me as I just save this here.
Well, so far so good.
Yeah, no, this is working out pretty well. I'm glad everyone can hear each other.
Yeah, no, it's a good connection.
Yeah.
Sometimes these things are very tenuous. You're right.
Yeah. Well, the mics are pretty good too, so that helps. You know, it's funny, Vern. Every time I do this stuff myself, I think of you because I know that you have to do a lot of this stuff yourself.
Yeah, I just did. Yeah, I had to set up and my. Here I am freezing outside of MetLife Stadium. It's like temperatures in like the low 30s, and we have to do this small little pregame show. And I teased the night before that we're going to have Steve Young on. It's like, yes, well, the original plan was to do it on the field, and that didn't work out, so I had to do it outside. I had to find Steve, and I had to get my gear and set up the camera on the tripod. I had 2 sets of lights that I lugged with me. I set those up, get it all ready, and then Steve finally came out, and we did it, and it was fine, but it was just the task of having to set it all up. Then you cute it. Then I have to download it into my laptop, and then I have to FTP it back to San Francisco. It was quite an undertaking.
Yeah, they should still have someone go with you to help you out. Okay. All right. So when we come back, what we'll do is, Rich, we'll get into the cost and then how do people get a hold of you if they're interested in this technology.
Sure.
And if you want to stick around with us and stay on the line, I don't know what your schedule's like, because we're going to get into topics like the Super Bowl being in the snow and A-Rod not taking the stand. Does that mean he's guilty by omission? And some other topics. So what is your time schedule like?
Yeah, I've actually got a commitment I need to be at.
Okay. All right. So
otherwise, it'd be great. I mean, I really enjoy this. You guys are fantastic.
Oh, good. Thanks. Well, okay. So what we'll do then is after we talk about the price and how do people get a hold of you, we'll let you go. All right.
All right. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Sure thing. Okay. All right. And away we go. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Vern Glenn. And,
Hello.
And Bruce McGowan, who will be showing up in just a minute here. And we're also on the phone with Rich Theriault from My Choice TV. Before we get back to Rich, though, we're going to answer the trivia question. The Boston Braves, we're talking about NFL football franchises. The Boston Braves entered the NFL in 1932. What was that team called in 2006? Anybody?
Rich,
I don't know. I should know.
Let me see.
Okay, now
it's got to be another name.
Yeah, well, it's Vern. Who did the 49ers just play?
They're now known as the Washington Redskins?
They are more known as the Washington Redskins. That's right.
Wow.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought that either.
That is a tricky one.
That's very tricky. Okay.
Oh, wow.
So
Sammy Baugh.
Yeah, Sammy Baugh. That's right. Rich, you are the founder of My Choice TV. Give us again, for the audience who just joined us, give us a quick snippet as to what My Choice TV is, and then let's talk about the price, and then how do people get a hold of you?
Sure. Basically, what the product is what we do is we allow people to, while they're watching live TV, their favorite sports programs, as an example, they get to avoid the commercials, and they leave at the point when a commercial comes, and then it comes back to the show so that they don't miss any part of the show.
Very good. And what does something like this, the service cost?
We're at $9.95 a month for the first 12 months. And then after that, we have a loyalty discount down to $4.95.
Okay, so for roughly, let's say $100 for the first year, you can avoid all those annoying commercials.
That's correct.
And again, it doesn't really necessarily have to be from a sports game. You could be watching a regular TV show, but maybe there's another TV show that you really like that's on at the same time, and rather than record it, you can kind of go back and forth.
That's correct.
Very good.
Yep.
All right.
That is pretty good. I got one more question, Rich. Yeah. On is this software? Is this a device that attaches to your DVR? I mean, how is it actually installed?
Right. No, that's a great question. Basically, there's a hardware device. First of all, nothing directly attaches to your TV or your cable box or anything. So it's all Wi-Fi. It's all wireless. Okay, that's number one. But there's a device that communicates with your cable box, which needs to be installed. It's about a 15-minute install. We have a nice wizard that just takes you right through that. Once that's done, you're done. You're done with that, and then you basically load onto the app onto either your tablet or your smartphone, and pretty much it asks you a few questions and you're ready to go.
Very cool.
So it's downloaded into your computer. What's it downloaded into?
The actual app's downloaded into your smartphone or your smartphone or your tablet, and basically really all it does is it has there's a little bit of configuration about which channel you want to switch to, what the alternate channel is, but there's also just the information about all the events upcoming that are covered.
Let's say it's downloaded on your smartphone. Does it mean you have to have that smartphone, I don't know, pointed at the modem of your TV or the DVR? I'm trying to figure out how one signal is read by the other.
Right. No, that's a really good question. No, you don't at all. So there's two things, right? There's the device, the one-time install, which is its own hardware device. That stays just near your TV. It has infrared signals that communicate with your TV and your cable box. That's a standalone device. You install that once you're done. The smartphone or the tablet is just your user interface. That's just what you use to select what you want to watch. As soon as you select it, you're done with it. You don't need to mess with it anymore. I mean, you certainly can use it during commercial break if you want to do something useful, but you don't need it. You can leave the room. You can leave the house, as a matter of fact.
That was going to be my next question. What if you have Slingbox and you got a layover in an airport, but you want to watch your TV through your smartphone? Can this work? Can this fly even then?
Yes. Yep.
Wow.
Very cool. Very cool. Okay, Rich, how do people get a hold of you if they are interested in this My Choice TV?
Yeah, the best thing is for them to go to our website, which is www.mytvchoice.com, and basically, they'll also get a little video that shows them, essentially how the product works, and it shows it in action, so to speak, and then they can order from that site. And they put their order in, we process it, we send it out from our warehouse, and within a day or two that they'll get it. And we have full live human support, so that if there's any questions or any help that they might need during any of the process, they can get a hold of somebody live. That person will help them right through anything they need.
Very cool. For basically $100 a year, you basically get to avoid all those annoying commercials. Rich.
So it's a perfect gift for the TV enthusiast this holiday season.
Yeah, you know what? That's a good idea for the quote man who's got everything. He doesn't have this. All right, Rich Theriault, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I enjoyed it very much. Have a great day. Have a happy Thanksgiving too.
You too. And Bruce McGowan just joined us in the studio here.
Now, it sounds like you're paid Vernon. You must have had a fun time in our nation's capital, huh?
Yeah, man. Cold, frigid nation's capital.
Yeah.
Well, in fact, that brings us to our next topic here, which is Super Bowl in the snow. So
Yep.
When is that? That's happening coming up here pretty soon, isn't it?
Yeah.
MetLife Stadium, 2014.
So it reminds me of is remember the Super Bowl in Palo Alto where the Niners?
I covered that one. It was cold. It was foggy. But I remember going way back. The Niners' first Super Bowl was in Detroit. Luckily, they played indoors, but they almost didn't get to the stadium because there was a blizzard, and one of the buses got stuck in the snowdrift.
Seriously, I think they would have waited.
I mean, they got there in time. It was kind of touch and go for a while.
Well, I don't know what you guys think about this, boys, but the Farmer's Almanac is calling for a possible blizzard-like conditions right around the day of that Super Bowl.
I love it. You know something? They have one of the great games of all time. I know Raider fans will disagree with me, but I was on the sidelines as you were, Vernon, in 2000. The Tuck Rule game was one of the most exciting games I've ever seen, and it was during I wouldn't call it a blizzard, but it was
pretty close.
Pretty close, yeah.
Well, then here's what I'm getting at, is that, okay, the Super Bowl with the Palo Alto, I remember it was Don Shula was complaining because the field conditions, it had rained like for a tremendous amount of time before. And so,
actually, that's not true. It wasn't. It was a dry week. But the problem it wasn't. The problem was he didn't like the practice facilities, and he didn't like the fact that his team had to come out and play in the 49ers' backyard. not knowing ahead of time, of course, who his opponent would be. If they played somebody else, it would have been. But the 49ers did have a home field advantage. That was the big complaint.
Okay,
I remember
covering. It was more the field because it was the mud.
No, the field was in good shape. The problem was it was actually nice all week. The day of the game, fog moved in, and it was about 40 degrees. It was very, for those of us who live in Northern California, it wasn't that big a deal. But for Don Shula and the Dolphins, didn't like it.
No, I do know that each team theoretically has the same advantage or disadvantage playing in the weather, but. The Super Bowl should be something where the weather shouldn't come into play. That's why I like it in New Orleans or Detroit.
Well, see, Vernon's from a part of the country where you're used to the bad weather, so we're kind of wusses out here in the West Coast, aren't we, Vern?
Well, I tell you what, that's why I think this is going to be a one and done experiment. Yeah. I've had the benefit of going to MetLife Stadium a few weeks ago when the Raiders played the Giants, and then I'm scheduled to go back again when the Raiders play the Jets. And, from a cosmetic and technical and events kind of standpoint, they're ready. I've talked to the caterers, and the stadium goes well and all that kind of stuff, but boy, it was just a little bit of wind that made it really cool.
Yeah. Well, it
unbearable, but, if you less than ideal, if I paid, $750 for a ticket.
Oh, yeah.
It's in those feet, so.
Well, we all remember the famous block from Jerry Kramer in the frozen tundra.
30 degrees, it could be unbearable.
Yeah, well, as Edward was pointing out, we all remember that block that Kramer made in the NFL championship game. But football is meant to be played in tough elements. I have no problem with it. Although I think you guys would agree with me that this is a one-time deal, and the NFL probably just wanted to give.
Well, I think other than the regular fan base, which is really not a part of the Super Bowl crowd, is a lot more corporate, and you guys are the corporate world drives the bus and everything.
Yeah.
So I think for this, all it's going to take is just a few complaints from a few of the big fat cats who fought a lot of this bill to get these Super Bowls done. Yeah. And then he goes right back to where I think I personally think it should be every year, and that would be the New Orleans.
Oh, I love it to be New Orleans.
Yeah, I like it there. Okay, hold on, guys. We're going to go to another break. One last thing about the snow. Who can forget Thanksgiving in Dallas with Leon Lett and the Dolphins? That was kind of a fun one. Okay. Again, the trivia theme is football franchises. Which 2006 franchise is the oldest in professional football history? This is a tough one. It's not as easy as you think. The first three callers with the correct answer are going to win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Their website is lighthouseforfun.com. Call 888-660-4495 to answer this question. Which 2006 franchise is the oldest in professional football history? To me, it's a very tough question. 888-660-4495. Make sure to include your name and your email address. Speak slowly. Spell out your email one letter at a time. Don't touch that dial. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back.
It's either Chicago or Green Bay, isn't it?
Okay, I think, all right, so it's an existing franchise, and its roots trace back so far.
1920.
The oldest NFL franchise or the oldest?
Well, the Chicago Bears were originally known as the Decatur Staleys, but I don't know when they became Chicago, and the Green Bay Packers, I believe, started shortly thereafter.
I think the Green Bay Packers are the oldest franchise.
Yeah, I think so too, because Chicago started originally in Decatur, which is a suburb, but I don't know what year they started to play in Chicago. I know, because George Hallis owned that team. He played on that team.
It's one of those two teams.
Yeah.
Green Bay.
Yeah.
Okay, and
all right.
Vern, what I'm going to do is, for some reason, that phone is acting a little funny, so I'm going to put you on hold and bring you on to this one. So stay with us for a second.
So, Vern, you still back east?
Yeah, I'm at my parents' house in
nice.
Richmond, Virginia. I'm here today, and I'm here for most of tomorrow, and then I go to Dallas for Raiders Cowboys Thursday.
I was at the Raider game on Sunday. That was a good game. Fitzpatrick was fun to watch. My God.
Okay, all right. So, hold on.
Heartbreaker for the Raiders.
So stay with me. I'm going to put you on hold. All right. Try this.
Right.
Let's see. Okay, how's that?
Yeah, you sound like you're right next to me.
Oh, yeah. That's much better.
Okay, that is better.
Much better. You sound much louder.
Something about that phone, that mic. Okay.
That was a great. The defense was just course, Washington's not very good, but man, the Niners defense, I knew they were going to win this game decisively, but I didn't think they'd shut.
Dude, they were
dominating.
They were suffering, smothering defense. I mean, they just the Redskins couldn't do anything.
Yeah, I was listening.
They had the one good first half drive where they just ran right down the field, and then that was it.
It's interesting, Vernon, because I was doing the morning sports at KGO, so I'm listening to all the cuts and the post-game sound, and the Washington coach Shanahan and RG3 were really. RG3 is getting a little pissed off, and one of the today in the paper, Ahmad Brooks said he thought RG3 shouldn't have even been playing. He was hurt. He was gimping around there. He shouldn't have even been out there.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, it's a mess. This battle between the. Yeah, I mean, that's all that we're talking about on the radio.
Yeah,
Shanahan, RG3, and Mike Silver came out with something where RG3 is sensitive, and in the team meetings when they show film, RG3 he doesn't want any negative plays shown of him and all that.
He's a smart guy too. I'm very impressed with him. He seems like a personable guy, and he's a great athlete. But I guess it's just been a rough year. Oh well.
All right, let's cover.
It does.
Yeah, it does make a mess, doesn't it?
How was it that the Titans were able to go down the field so easily?
Well,
that last drive.
I'll tell you what, the Raiders' defense was pretty much kept them from a long drive. But that last drive, they were beaten up. They had two guys, linebacker Nick Roach and one of their secondary guys, I think it was Tracy Porter, got knocked out of the game.
So it sounded like you watched the game and they were playing not to lose.
Well,
they can't do that.
They did not have the personnel out there. That was the problem. They got so beat up in this game. The worst hit was the tight end Michael Rivera got hit, and his helmet was knocked off, and it rolled 20 yards into the end zone like it looked like a bowling ball. I mean, and then he gets up and he's sort of wobbly. He's actually going to play on Sunday, but I mean they just got Tennessee just blasted. And McGloin played very well. It was,
yes, he did.
It was a game they should have won, and it was a heartbreaker to lose. But Fitzpatrick, give him credit. He's fun to watch. He's a good quarterback. Well,
now that they're 4-7, are they still? I mean, are they still kind of technically in it?
Oh yeah, they're technically in it. But I mean, there's
Sunday they go and
let's
just say they go and win.
I think they may.
Thursday against Dallas.
Yeah, they're still alive. It's by by the barest of margins. I mean, there's so many other teams that are in their spot. But, I mean, the thing about the Raiders, Vernon, is they can beat anybody on any day except for maybe the elite teams. I mean, they're a mediocre team, but their defense is pretty good. And they only allowed, a couple of touchdowns, and one of them was on a broken play, and the other was after a long drive. So I didn't think they played that bad a game. Sebastian Janikowski, all he had to do was hit two free field goals, and he was lucky. He made one of them a low line drive that kind of just barely made it over.
He used to be lights out.
Well, he only missed by a couple of feet, but that's the difference. And he has a different holder. He doesn't like Marquette King holding, and he didn't blame him, directly, but he said some things afterwards that made it sound like, well, it's not all on me. Well, yes, it is. Sebastian.
Well, who normally holds for him? Is it McGloin?
No, it was Shane Leckler last year, and this year it's been Marquette King all season long, and that's one of the reasons. Marquette King is it's a new duty for him. I mean, he's been great as a punter. Actually, he's been better than Shane Leckler, but Leckler was always his holder for 12 years. And now, or 13 years, or whatever. Yeah, 13 years.
What happened to Leckler?
Leckler took a free agent.
Yeah, Leckler became a free agent, and he took the money and went to Houston.
Yeah, he's having an okay year, but Houston is just, oh my God. No wonder Gary Kubiak had a mini stroke.
What's so frustrating?
Well, Leckler's from the state of Texas.
Yeah, no, he wanted to go home.
He's home.
Yeah, he's home.
Okay, you guys ready?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Vern Glenn.
Hello, America.
And Bruce McGowan.
It's good to talk to Vernon on the other side of the country, too, in Richmond, Virginia, a place I've always wanted to visit.
That's nice.
Yeah. I think this got to be the first show where we span 3,000 miles just between the three of us.
Yeah, that's true. Don't go in August, though. It's very hot there.
Yeah.
Okay,
it can get a little steamy back.
Yeah. Here's the second commercial trivia question. Which 2006 franchise is the oldest in professional football history?
All right, I'm going Green Bay Packers. How about you, Bruce?
I'm going to go with the Chicago Bears, who used to be called the Decatur Staleys, but I think your answer with Green Bay is just as good because I know they've been around I think almost the same amount of time.
See, that's what I would have thought too.
Yeah.
But according to this, the Arizona Cardinals,
what?
Yeah, not the Bears. And it goes back to 1899 in Chicago under the name Morgan Athletic Club.
And then they became the Chicago Cardinals.
Chicago Cardinals,
right?
Yeah. And then the St. Louis Cardinals, and then that's wild.
But that was good about the Decatur.
Decatur Stadium.
That's pretty good. A lot of people don't know that.
Wow.
Okay, just a quick thing here about A-Rod not taking the stand. Now, isn't it kind of like guilty by omission?
Well, I mean, the whole thing was a mess because A-Rod says, hey, I should have a right to face my accuser, Bud Selig, who would not come and testify against him. And then A-Rod felt this was all one-sided, and that they were just simply just going after him. He got walked out, didn't he, Bruce?
Yeah, I share his frustration in a sense because Bud Selig has done some things I'm not really thrilled with, but at the same time, A-Rod made his bed, and he's going to have to sleep in it now. He's talking about, my legacy has been tainted in this, and he's going to be included with all the guys, the steroid guys. Well, too bad. You took some additives that you shouldn't have taken, and you're going to have to pay the price.
Yeah, he's just another name that came up that was prominent in what will forever be known as the steroid era.
Yeah, I mean Bonds. It's almost like you got to forget about everything he did prior to.
It's too bad.
It really is.
It's really a shame because it casts a pall over a great era of baseball. An era really that saved baseball. When you think about it, steroids saved baseball because of McGuire Sosa. That saved the game. I mean, they were. What percentage of attendance was down? 20% or something.
Remember '94?
Yeah, the strike. Yeah,
I mean, I was a big baseball fan. I'm still a big baseball fan, but God, that pissed me off.
Oh, it wrecked the season. I tell you, it wrecked the Oakland A's and it wrecked the San Francisco Giants. They were terrible for the next 3 years.
Yeah, and that was, if I remember correctly, Matt Williams was on a tear.
And then he broke his foot in '95. Yeah. And then a couple years later, they traded him away. And everybody, I remember, never forget the radio station where I worked. They traded him away, and they got Jeff Kent and Julian Tavares and Jose Vizcaino, and everybody at our station said, "What a terrible trade!"
Jeff Kent was pretty good.
Jeff Kent should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
As much of a red ass.
I think Jeff Kent goes, and then guys like A-Rod, Bonds. I don't think they're ever getting in.
Vernon, I have a hard time not allowing Bonds in, not allowing Clemens in, because those guys, granted, they cheated. But how many guys cheated that we don't know about and may get in? So it's a tough call. I don't think there are any of them.
What about guys that used to in the teens who used to throw spitballs?
Well, that was legal though.
Oh, I know.
That was legal.
But
it was legal, and there were only a handful of guys that really did it effectively. But what is it? Joe Jackson, who did not literally throw any games. He took the money though. Yeah. In the 1919 Black Sox scandal, he had numbers that were Hall of Fame, and there were 4 guys on that Chicago Black Sox team that were Hall of Fame caliber, and they're none of them in the Hall of Fame. They never will be because messing around with betting is the ultimate no-no.
Would it be something? I mean, who knows is going to take over for Selig? Wouldn't that be something if whoever does, he says, all right, I'm just going to go ahead and do what everybody's thinking.
Yeah.
He just opens the door for Rose, Jackson, all these guys that are just are all these I call them come on guys. Mm-hmm. You bring it up, it's like, come on, man.
I will say this for Selig. In fairness to Bud, during his era, there have been more stadiums built and more retro stadiums built, and a lot of that was fueled by steroids. But the game now, for the next 30 years, we've got these beautiful stadiums in just about every city. So that maybe is a nice legacy for him. And we've had some exciting World Series lately.
And he's made, and I'll say this for Selig. I mean, business being business, he made a lot of money.
Oh God!
Yeah. Okay. How about you make steroids mandatory, but then push the fences back to 700 feet? Okay. Moving on.
Interesting idea there.
Yeah. Moving on. How about the trade for Prince Fielder to get Ian Kinsler?
I like that.
Well,
I like it because I think it helps Texas out in that they needed that big power hitter, and he loves to hit in that ballpark, which was built actually along the same lines of Tiger Stadium. But it really helps out Detroit because they get that huge contract out of the way, and Kinsler's making good money. But Kinsler is really underrated. He's kind of like a Jeff Kent.
Yeah, exactly. It said here, with more than $170 million owed to Fielder, the Tigers will save about $8 million a season by bringing Kinsler aboard while improving the team's infield defense and having minimal impact on the lineup. Yeah. I think it's 100% accurate. I don't know, for some reason, Prince Fielder, he reminds me of Ryan Howard. I don't see these guys. Yeah. Maybe they just have too much weight on them, and they're
Well, he's a big boy. I don't know, Vernon. What do you think of this move?
I think he's a big boy, and I think once the big fella gets in that hot Texas heat, gets all loosened up, watch those balls.
Oh, that's, you know what? I will be proven wrong. You're right.
Yeah.
And it says here, by dumping Fielder's salary, it also freed up the extra money the team needs to sign Miguel Cabrera. I mean, he's the man.
And they can put him over at first base or DH him because he showed in the World Series last year he just doesn't have the nimbleness. Of course, he was hurt, but I mean, he just wasn't ready to go out there.
Yeah, because they also talk about Max Scherzer, and Scherzer's represented by super agent Scott Boras, a man known for negotiating large, long-term deals.
Boy.
I tell you, I'd love him to be my agent.
Oh my gosh!
Large, long-term deals. That's great.
Speaking of agents, a friend of Vernon's and mine, Lee Steinberg, is back in action after being out. He was in rehab for a while, and this is a guy that was one of the first agents back in the 70s. He represented Steve Bartkowski from Cal, and he's mostly a football guy, but I'm glad to see him back on his feet, and I think he'll do well. Vern, I know you've had some dealings with him.
Yeah, I can remember one of the first times I ever met him. It was at a charity event, and he was still on top, and I was just getting going in San Francisco, and I meet him, and I greet him a little bit, and he just leans over and he whispers, he goes, so when's your contract up?
When's your contract up? Always an opportunity.
Oh, man.
Well, yeah, because he did. I don't know if he said. Would you say he hit bottom, or would you say
he lost a lot of money in the .com bust, and then he had a problem with substance abuse with alcohol. So he went to rehab, and he was real serious about it. And I mean, obviously, everybody who goes tries to be serious, but he was in there for I think 3-6 months.
Wow, and he lost his marriage too.
He lost his marriage. He lost most of his clients. But the good news is that he kept enough, and he has a good enough reputation. He's a smart enough guy. I think he'll recover. He may not be quite the super agent he was, but he's basically a good guy. Yeah. He just was living too fast a life.
So I wonder though.
Yeah, Jerry Maguire doesn't get made without him.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Well, that's the thing. Is he is he tainted from the standpoint? Like if you're let's say you're high.
I don't think so. I mean, look at how many people have reclaimed their lives and their reputations in our country. People love a comeback story in this country.
Yeah, but it's an agent or a player?
Well, agent, player. I mean, there are a lot of people in the business world who go up, go down.
That's true.
How about this?
Donald Trump.
Yeah.
That's a good analogy.
Hey, not to get off on a tangent, but how about this guy who allegedly was involved in the murder of an American expatriate in Central America. Then he comes to the United States, and then he's faced with a charge of harassment in Portland, Oregon. Now he's up in Montreal. I mean, some crazy stuff in the business world, I'm telling you. I don't know the name of the guy. I can't remember. I was hearing the story today on the radio, and I heard the story before, and I'm thinking, geez, what is going on here?
Okay, let me ask you. There's a point blank question, Bruce, because you seem like a good guy, and you're willing.
My wife thinks I'm a good guy. I've got her fooled.
Yeah, we all think you're a good guy. Okay, so let's say you're a highfalutin baseball player, and you've got a choice of agents.
Well, I talk to a number of people, and if I'm a baseball player, and I get a sense for what's out there. Chances are a guy like Lee Steinberg, now he mostly represents football players, chances are he's probably not going to be able to reclaim what he had before. But he does have so many connections.
Sure,
and I think that stands for something. That counts for something. The athletic world, as Vern knows, because you're around it all the time, Vern, is a closed little society. It really is.
Yeah, it is. And these careers, I mean, the shelf life isn't very long. It's longer for baseball players than it is for football players. So if you are in the top 1-2% in your profession, and you're up for like big money, you've got to have the big agents. You've got to have Boris. You've got to have Tom Condon. You've got to have the best of the best that are going to go out and get every single penny they can.
And once Lee gets really back on his feet, I mean, it'll be like a snowball. He'll maybe get back to where he was.
Well, it depends. Is he that hungry? Does he want? I think he just wants to get back in the game because he enjoys it. He certainly needs the money, but he's not poor. I mean, he's not destitute. He didn't lose everything, but he lost approximately $110 million.
Chump change.
Well, most of it was lost in the stock in the .com bubble collapse, or when the bubble burst, I should say.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, Ken, kind of along those same lines, I've read an article here. Bryce Harper is ready for arbitration already?
Oh, Bryce Harper.
Did I say
Bryce Harper.
What did I say? Bruce?
Yeah,
I'm
that's
looking
okay.
at you. So yeah, he should change his name to Bruce.
What is
Bryce
he? 20?
Harper.
Is he 20 years old yet, Vern? I don't know.
He's 21.
21. Okay.
Yeah, he's 21.
Yeah.
I love that.
So this is been in the league for what, 2 years?
2 years. I love that quote. That's a clown question, bro. When he was
That's
asked,
right.
he was asked a question by a reporter. That's a clown question, bro.
So it's, I mean,
First, I can say, after interviewing him a couple of times, you would not want to ride cross country with him. I mean, it would be a
really?
one-sided conversation.
Is that right?
Much.
Yeah.
No.
okay, so he's got a current deal dictates that he's going to receive $1.5 million salary in 2015. You know, he was drafted in 2010. I mean, what's the typical situation for guys who are, getting ready for arbitration? I mean, don't you have to be with them for like 5 years?
You do have to. I think it's 4 to 5 years, and I mean, this kid, if he stays healthy, he's going to make plenty of money. I mean, the fact that he's making $1.5 million at the age of 21.
Yeah, there's so much potential. He's already at or near the top of his profession. He's only been in for a couple of years.
Yeah.
I mean, his star is still rising. So you give him money predicated on the fact that he's a draw. He's going to sell tickets, and he's pretty damn good.
Yeah. He's fun to watch. He is a special talent. He should be around
he's
for a
very
long
good.
time.
No, I think he's got great energy.
A little bit of a red ass, though.
Yeah.
I mean, but baseball has those kind of guys for some reason. I don't know why that is. I can't figure. Maybe it's because they're away from their families for so long, and they're around. They're in the clubhouse all the time, and they don't get a chance to bash into people like in football or run up and down the court like basketball. So they're sitting around a lot, chewing tobacco, and they're not that many, but they're angry.
No, but you want to see something exciting. I mean, like when a guy hits a game-winning home run, like Joe Carter in the World Series.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want a guy just to be like DiMaggio and just typically just run the bases.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to see some excitement, kind of get into it.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think sometimes they do get a little crazy, like the time Prince Fielder came around third and then got home and all his teammates fell down like 10 pins against the Giants. I thought that was a little too much.
That's too much.
It made for a great highlight.
Yeah, it did.
Okay, guys, we're going to cut to our third and final break. Boy, unfortunately, we didn't get to talk about a few other things here. We'll catch that next week. Okay, the initial, we're talking about football franchises. The initial name of the Detroit Lions wasn't the Lions, and it wasn't in Detroit. It was in Portsmouth, Ohio. What was their team name?
God.
I'm talking old football franchise. Listen, last time you guys just decimated me by answering all the questions.
This is one I'm going to have to just.
We're going to get Bill Fox back here. He do all these things.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
The first 3 callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Call 888-660-4495 to answer this question. The initial name of the Detroit Lions wasn't the Lions, and it wasn't in Detroit. It was in Portsmouth, Ohio. What was their team name? Don't touch that dial. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back. You missed our first one. Our first one was
I didn't get that one.
The Boston Braves entered the NFL in 1932. What were they called in 2006?
I wouldn't know that one either.
The Washington Redskins.
The Washington Redskins. Oh my God. My knowledge of some of these names from the 30s is very. I'm very good with the old AFL, but the AFL only had originally 8 teams in all of them.
Kansas City.
Kansas City was actually Dallas. They were the Dallas Texans. The Chargers were in LA. They were the Los Angeles Chargers.
Los Angeles Chargers.
Yeah.
So, let me ask you guys, because I should be fair to you guys. Do you mind when I ask really hard questions like this, or is it like so esoteric that they?
It doesn't. I don't think Vern minds. Do you mind, Vern?
No, not at all.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's all good. Bring it on, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
It shows that we're not these,
Yeah.
all seeing, all knowing.
Okay.
I mean, we're just a couple of schmoes.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to sound like some kind of a nerd anyway. I know I'm nerdy enough, but somebody who knows all this little trivia nonsense sometimes.
Well, remember the first show, I wanted to just kind of throw it out easy, so I had some real easy ones. But
my wife sometimes she says, it's kind of funny. All this useless trivia nonsense. You kind of make me a little autistic. It's the no, she's teasing.
But I get from my wife is stop doing your radio at like I'll come home and I'll just like be jacked up from all this kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I'll have my thoughts for the day.
Yeah.
She
wants to have a normal conversation about trivial stuff.
Yeah.
My wife's the same way. You try to talk about. Well, she doesn't. We don't talk sports. So you talk sports with your wife much, Vern?
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Not really in depth. But she has certain questions about certain
that's
things.
good.
We talk about it. I mean, our conversations usually lasts about a minute anyway.
Yeah.
And last night, I promised my wife.
That's 50 seconds too much for me.
I told my wife I wanted to watch the game last night, and my daughter was having a sleepover, and I said, "I'll tell you what, since you don't like football, during the entire game, I'll give you a nice foot rub and a back rub while we're watching the game." So
can I come over?
And she needed it too because she goes, "Oh, that's great, I'll do it," because it didn't bother me at all. I mean, I was happy to do it. So that keeps peace in the family.
There you go.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we just have a couple of minutes left. I'll just bring up a couple of very quick things here, and then we'll be done.
Sounds good.
All right.
Looks like it's going to rain out here, Vern. I think it's going to rain maybe tomorrow.
Was it really?
Yeah.
In the Bay Area?
Yeah, it's kind of partly cloudy. It's supposed to get a little sprinkle on Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah, and I've got a roof on a large building that needs work. About 40,
your house or
no, my building I own. $40,000 worth of roof.
Oh, jeez. Ouch.
So I figured I'd ask a couple of guys like you to come over.
Oh, yeah. I could use the work. If I was a roofer, I'd be your man. Because I need the work.
Yeah, you needed to get that roof up in October when it didn't rain at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
You had 60 days of rain-free weather.
Yeah.
That's true. Why? The thing is, I know where's
the building?
In Oakland.
Oh, okay.
This is cool.
I'm going to get a copy to Vern too. Vern, I just gave Edward the Bay Area Sport. What's it called? The Bay Area Sports Ultimate Sports Guide. I always write little features for them, and it's nice. They have all these little stories and calendars and schedules for all the local teams. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, when I was in Toronto, I used to get them all the time.
Yeah. No, Christopher Wells is a friend of mine. He always has me writing a couple articles about him. Roxy Bernstein got a little feature in there by David Bush, and Carl Stewart did a piece on the Raiders. I did a couple things on the Stanford and the Sharkies.
Oh, good.
So, yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
Okay, let's hit it. Here.
Okay,
here we go. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Vern Glenn and Bruce McGowan.
Hey.
Okay, when we cut to the third final commercial break, we asked this trivia question. Again, we're talking old football franchises. The initial name for the Detroit Lions wasn't the Lions, and it wasn't in Detroit. It was in Portsmouth, Ohio. Well, what was their team name?
God, I don't have it.
The Kittens?
No, the Spartans.
Boy.
Did you hear me? It was
Michigan.
Boy.
Well,
close, yeah. The Spartans.
There you go.
The Spartans.
The Spartans?
In 1930.
Spartans? Is that what they
in 1934, they moved to Detroit and became the Lions. Okay, a couple of very, very quick things here. Jimmy Graham bends the goalposts. Remember that?
I saw that.
Yeah.
Did you?
He's a big, strong guy.
Well, you know what it reminded me of is remember Daryl Dawkins used to. Didn't he do it?
Out of the backboard.
Chocolate Thunder.
Yeah, chocolate. Didn't he do that twice in one game?
I'm not sure he did twice in one game, but I think he did it twice in his career. That guy was a fun. You talk about a media dream. And I did a couple of interviews with him late in his career when I was a young guy. He was fun to talk with. Always engaging.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
And it's funny because he didn't really hang on the rim. He just slammed it hard.
Our dogs, I mean, almost like he was angry at it.
Yeah.
He was enjoyable. Okay, we are going to cut out here. Here are our thoughts for the day. Running back George Rogers. Remember him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, number 38, South Carolina Gamecock.
There you go. He said, I want to run for 1,000 yards or 1,500 yards, whichever comes first. I like that one. And good old Tug McGraw, rest in peace, love that guy. When asked if he preferred grass or AstroTurf, he responded, I don't know, I never smoked AstroTurf. All right, tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. We'll be discussing sports topics from a business perspective and giving away more vacations for answering trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Good night, America.
So long. See, I pointed right at you and you said it.